Welcome back to Coffeesodes, everybody. It's episode 36 with me, Josh.
And I'm Kelly.
And if you're new around here, make sure you check out the episode description.
Yeah.
Today we are heading to Mars.
Exciting.
But not just for like a quick visit,
Yeah.
We're talking about the future of humanity on Mars.
Yeah.
Like families, kids, generations growing up under that rusty red sky.
Yeah. It is pretty captivating to imagine, children taking their first steps not on Earth, but on a whole other planet. And it really makes you wonder, how would growing up on Mars with its unique environment actually affect a child's developing brain?
And that's exactly what we're going to be looking at today. We've got this research article that really digs deep into the potential challenges for ensuring healthy child neurodevelopment on Mars.
It really is a whole new world of possibilities and considerations. We take Earth's gravity for granted.
Yeah.
But it plays a huge role in our physical development, including our brains. Mars has significantly lower gravity, about 62% less.
Wow.
And that difference could lead to some pretty big changes in how a child's brain develops.
Okay, so less gravity, does that mean Martian kids will be bouncing off the walls?
Not quite, but it could mean changes in intracranial pressure.
Okay.
That's the fluid that cushions and protects the brain. Imagine a balloon filled with water.
Okay.
On Earth, gravity pulls the water down.
Right.
But on Mars, that pull is weaker, potentially leading to shifts in fluid distribution.
Interesting.
And this could impact brain development in ways we're only beginning to understand.
So it's not just about being lighter, it's about the brain literally experiencing a different physical environment.
Exactly. And there's more. Studies suggest that reduced gravity could also lead to alterations in both gray matter and white matter in the brain. Gray matter is crucial for processing information and controlling movement, while white matter acts like the wiring connecting different parts of the brain.
So if the wiring is affected, could that mean Martian kids might have trouble with things like learning new skills or even remembering information?
Yeah, that's a valid concern. Think of it this way. If the insulation around those wires starts to fray, the signals don't transmit as efficiently, and this could lead to potential delays in cognitive development, motor skills, and even spatial reasoning.
Wow, that's a lot to consider just from the gravity difference alone.
Yeah.
But Mars has other environmental challenges too, right? Like, how are kids going to breathe?
Yeah, that's another big one. The Martian atmosphere is extremely thin and almost entirely carbon dioxide.
Right.
We need oxygen to survive, and our brains are especially sensitive to a lack of it. Even a few minutes without oxygen can cause irreversible brain damage.
That's scary. So future Martian colonists would need a constant and reliable source of oxygen, right? I mean, imagine a power outage or a system malfunction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maintaining a breathable atmosphere would be absolutely crucial, and it's not just about avoiding immediate dangers like brain damage.
Yeah.
Chronic exposure to low oxygen levels, even if not immediately life-threatening, could have long-term consequences for brain development.
I'm guessing Martian kids won't be playing outside without some serious protective gear.
Definitely not. And speaking of harsh conditions, let's not forget about the temperature. The average temperature on Mars is about negative 63 degrees Celsius.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it. I know technology can help regulate temperatures inside habitats, but exposure to extreme cold can't be good for a developing brain either, right?
You're right. While hypothermia might not be as immediate a threat as oxygen deprivation, the research suggests it can still have significant effects. Prolonged exposure to cold can impact cognitive function, motor skills, and even psychological well-being. We're talking about potential risks for anxiety, depression, and even PTSD.
The Martian environment seems determined to throw curveball after curveball at us.
It certainly presents a unique set of challenges, and we've only just scratched the surface.
This is already mind-blowing. So we've talked about gravity, oxygen, and freezing temperatures. What other hurdles might Martian kids face as they're growing up? What about nutrition? I mean, can you imagine packing school lunches for Mars?
No, that's a thought. And it's a crucial one. Ensuring proper nutrition on Mars is going to be a monumental task, and it's directly tied to healthy brain development. We know that malnutrition during crucial developmental periods can have like a cascading effect on brain function, affecting everything from memory and learning to motor skills and sensory processing. And we're not just talking about getting enough calories, it's about having access to a diverse range of nutrients. Proteins, carbohydrates, essential fatty acids, vitamins, minerals, all the building blocks that a growing brain needs.
So those dehydrated space meals might not cut it for a Martian toddler.
Not exactly. While those types of foods are great for short-term space travel, sustaining a growing population on Mars would require a much more robust and varied food system.
So I'm picturing like giant Martian greenhouses glowing with hydroponic vegetables. Do you think something like that could work?
It's certainly a possibility. Scientists are exploring various approaches to food production on Mars,
Right.
including hydroponics, aeroponics, and even the possibility of cultivating Martian soil. It's a fascinating challenge and one that's essential to address if we want to ensure healthy child development on Mars.
Yeah, beyond the technical challenges of growing food, I'm also wondering about the psychological aspects of nutrition. If food is scarce or if meal times are stressful, could that impact a child's development?
Absolutely. We know from Earth-based research that food insecurity and inconsistent access to nutritious meals can have profound effects on mental health, especially in children. It can lead to anxiety, depression, and even behavioral problems.
So it's not just about providing enough food, it's about creating a stable and nurturing environment around mealtimes.
Precisely. And let's not forget about one of the most essential and natural forms of nourishment, breastfeeding.
Right. Breast milk is packed with nutrients and antibodies, and it plays a vital role in infant development here on Earth. Would that still be important on Mars?
Even more so. Breast milk provides a perfect blend of nutrients tailored to an infant's needs, and it's a readily available renewable resource. In the early stages of Martian colonization, when access to diverse food sources might be limited, breastfeeding could be a critical factor in ensuring healthy infant development.
That makes a lot of sense. It's fascinating to think about how something so fundamental to human life here on Earth would take on even greater significance in the Martian environment.
It highlights the interconnectedness of these challenges, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Nutrition technology, human behavior, they all play a role in the complex equation of child development on Mars.
And speaking of interconnectedness, we can't forget about the social aspect. Even with all the physical challenges addressed, wouldn't growing up on Mars, especially in those early settlements, be incredibly isolating for kids?
It's a valid concern. The social environment plays a crucial role in shaping a child's brain, influencing everything from language development and emotional regulation to social skills and even cognitive abilities. Early Martian settlements would likely be small and relatively isolated, at least initially.
Yeah.
This raises important questions about how we can foster a sense of community and create opportunities for rich social interaction for Martian children.
Right. It's not like there will be bustling playgrounds and after-school programs right away.
Exactly. So we need to think creatively about how to create those essential social connections. For example, could virtual reality technologies play a role in connecting Martian kids with their peers on Earth or in other Martian settlements? How can we foster a sense of belonging and shared purpose within those early communities?
Those are really interesting questions. It seems like the social dimension of child development on Mars is almost as complex as the physical and nutritional challenges.
It is. And we can't underestimate the impact of parental mental health either. Imagine the stress of raising a child in a completely alien environment with all the uncertainties and potential dangers that come with it.
I'm getting anxiety just thinking about it.
Well, research shows that a parent's mental well-being can have a direct impact on a child's development. Stress, anxiety, and depression in parents can affect everything from a child's emotional regulation and attachment style to their cognitive abilities and even their physical health.
So it's not just about keeping kids safe from the Martian elements. It's about supporting the mental and emotional well-being of the entire family. But beyond the everyday stressors of Martian life, are there other specific challenges that could impact a child's mental and emotional development? What about the potential for trauma? I mean, space travel itself is incredibly risky, and the Martian environment is full of unknowns.
You're right, trauma is a very real concern. Just the journey to Mars with its prolonged isolation, confinement, and exposure to radiation could be traumatic for a young child. And once they arrive on Mars, they'll be facing a whole new set of challenges. The constant threat of equipment malfunctions, the potential for exposure to harmful radiation or Martian microbes, the psychological impact of living in a confined and artificial environment.
Yeah, and I never even considered the psychological impact of those dust storms. I mean, we see pictures of them here on Earth and they look terrifying. Imagine being a child and experiencing one of those firsthand. It must be like a natural disaster, but on a completely different scale.
It would be incredibly frightening. And for a child whose brain is still developing, experiencing that kind of event could have a lasting impact. We know from Earth-based research that children who experience natural disasters or other traumatic events are at a higher risk for developing PTSD, anxiety, depression, and other mental health challenges.
So in addition to all the physical and environmental challenges, we need to be prepared to address the potential for psychological trauma and emotional distress in Martian children. It's almost overwhelming to think about all these factors that could impact a child's development on Mars. It makes you appreciate how much we take for granted here on Earth.
It does. But it also highlights the incredible adaptability and resilience of the human spirit. We've overcome countless challenges throughout our history, and I believe we can find ways to ensure that children not only survive but thrive on Mars.
That's a hopeful thought. And it makes me wonder, how might education need to adapt to meet the unique needs of Martian children? I mean, would they be learning the same things as kids on Earth? Would they be going to traditional schools?
Those are great questions, and they lead us into a whole new realm of exploration, the Martian classroom of the future. It's funny when we try and envision education on Mars, you always think about those futuristic sci-fi scenes, virtual reality classrooms, children learning from AI companions.
Right.
And while some of those elements, might actually become a reality, we need to ground our approach in what we know about child development and learning.
Right. It's not just about, cool gadgets and futuristic technology. It's about creating an educational system that supports the whole child, their physical, emotional, social, and intellectual needs.
Exactly. So let's start with physical development. We've already talked about the challenges of low gravity on Mars and the importance of physical activity for building strong bones and muscles.
Right.
But in the context of education, we need to think beyond traditional PE classes.
So no more dodgeball on the Martian playground.
Maybe not dodgeball, but definitely opportunities for movement, exploration, and play. We might see Martian schools incorporating elements of obstacle courses, rock climbing, zero-gravity dance classes, activities that challenge balance coordination and spatial reasoning.
That sounds a lot more fun than running laps.
Yeah.
It's almost like turning physical activity into a game or a challenge.
Precisely. And it's not just about physical development. Those types of activities also engage the brain, promoting cognitive flexibility, problem-solving skills, and even social interaction.
Yeah, I'm starting to see how education on Mars could be a much more integrated experience. Physical, cognitive, and social aspects all woven together.
That's exactly the direction we need to be thinking in.
Well, it's been an incredible journey, exploring the potential challenges and opportunities of raising a child on Mars. From the physical environment to the social landscape and the educational frontier, it's clear that this will be a monumental undertaking, requiring innovation, collaboration, and a deep understanding of child development.
It has been fascinating, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And it's a reminder that while the challenges are immense, so too is human potential.
Yeah.
We have the capacity to adapt, innovate, and create a future where children can thrive, even in the most extraordinary of environments.
So as we conclude this deep dive into the world of Martian neurodevelopment, we leave you with a final thought-provoking question. If you were raising a child on Mars, what unique skills or knowledge do you think would be most essential for their success and well-being?
It's a question worth pondering, and we encourage you to share your thoughts and insights with us. This is just the beginning of the conversation, and we're excited to continue exploring this fascinating frontier with you.
Thanks for joining us on Coffeesodes.